Hey y'all, it's X. Welcome back to another video. This is one that I've been super excited to do. This is our post-combine NFL mock draft. Watching the combine, there were so many guys who did really well for their draft stock. Honestly, not a lot of people really plummeted their draft stock, to be honest. Some people are gonna fall obviously, but it's more the product of other people just doing better than players who were just horrific last year, because I feel like people like Cam Kinchins, who ended up still being a great player, had a terrible combine. He had a terrible offseason as a whole, but either way, we didn't really see anything like that this year. But remember to leave a like and sub if y'all mess with the content. Let's jump right in. So, number one overall pick, I'm still debating whether I want to go Cam Ward or Abdul Carter. I think we've heard rumors of both. I think if I was going to do this with trades, which we will do closer to the actual draft. By the way, this is going to be a 2-round mock draft as well. I don't think I said that at the start. I feel like Cam Ward is more likely to go number one. I don't know if it's going to be to the Titans, though, because I've heard rumors of the Giants trading up. I don't want it to happen. I just want it to kind of happen naturally. I just want us to stick at 3, and if that ends up being Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, or Travis Hunter, I'm fine with any one of those 3, but I don't want to make a move to get any of those players. So, I think for the sake of this, we're going to go Cam Ward at number 1. I do think that there's just a chance that there's a new GM in the building. Brian Callahan probably wants to draft his guy. I feel like there's a better chance of him wanting to get his quarterback. We don't really know how long his leash is, although we've heard that it doesn't seem like he's really on the hot seat yet. He's only been the coach for a year. So I feel like Cam Ward is probably the smart choice to go with here. Number 2, even with the Myles Garrett trade happening or not happening, doesn't seem like he wants to sign an extension in Cleveland. Abdul Carter would be a great pairing with Myles Garrett if they can somehow work that out. Doesn't seem like it will happen, but whether he ends up being your edge 1 for the next 10 years or he's your edge 2 until Myles Garrett retires, Abdul Carter is still a great pick here at number 2. Giants here at number 3. It's really hard for me to go Travis Hunter here. That's the optimist in me, is hoping that the Giants go best player, possibly in the draft, at pick number 3. I feel like as we get closer, it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. I feel like the one thing that makes me somewhat optimistic that it isn't Shedeur Sanders is that there's a possibility that we end up just signing a veteran. We were trying to get Matt Stafford. That didn't end up happening. He signed the extension in LA. And it seems like we're pivoting to Aaron Rodgers, which is also bad. But I mean, if it means we could possibly get Davante Adams, I'm not horribly against it. It does make our team better on paper having Rodgers and Davante Adams. Rodgers wasn't horrible last year. It's just the antics that come along with him that I just don't really want to have to deal with, to be honest. So, I'm not sure. I'm going to hope that we are going to sign a veteran quarterback, because that does seem like the Giants' kind of first priority in free agency, and I'm going to go with Travis Hunter, hoping that Daboll and Shane recognize that he is the best player in this class, most likely. It is between him and Abdul Carter for player number 1 in this class. I lean more towards Travis Hunter because I don't have prospect fatigue. That's kind of the only reason. Pick number 4 for the New England Patriots. I have 2 players in my mind here. It's Will Campbell and it's Armand Membou. Armand Membou had a stellar Senior Bowl performance. He had a stellar combine. He's just been rising up draft boards recently, and I think he could honestly go as high as number 4. He could be tackle 1 in this class. However, a lot of reports have shown that the Patriots are pretty enamored with Will Campbell, so I'm going to take him here at 4. Tested very, very well athletically. I believe Bengal brought up a stat in his mock draft the other day. It was Will Campbell is one of only 3 tackles, and the other 2 are Trent Williams and Tristan Wirfs, who, it was they were over 300 and something pounds, I think, ran a sub 5-second 40-yard dash, and some other very specific statistic, but it puts him in good companies with very good names, I guess. So, Will Campbell did come in with under 33-inch arms. Not great when you want to see a tackle, but he had good enough athletic testing. You're going to try him at tackle first. And I think given that reality, he's going to go higher because at that point, most teams will probably see him as tackle 1 or 2 in the class with the great athletic testing. And he's really not, like, we used to say that he was a guard. He's really not a guard, man. Like, he's 6'6". He's absolutely huge. Those guys don't usually profile amazing at guard. That was more just like, we know he has the skills to play guard, but in terms of size, like, it doesn't look amazing. He might just be too tall to play guard. So, if he doesn't work out at tackle, he can try guard, but I have a feeling that New England will try him at tackle first. Jacksonville at number 5. A lot of people were scared with his combine measurements, but Mason Graham is still the pick. He did come in at, I believe, 296 pounds. I understand why people are nervous, especially when he was playing at about 320, I believe, 315, 320. I think it's just a product of him coming into the combine trying to run faster. I think that's what a lot of players did. Like, we saw, like, Nick Scorton and Landon Jackson both drop from, like, the 280s to end up going down to, like, 257 and like 265 respectively. It's just something that people do at the combine to try and run faster, get more better athletic numbers. It's a normal thing. It's also the off season. I'm sure he will get back up to whatever his playing weight is. And even if not, 296 is not horribly undersized. We're not talking about him at 275. He still looks good, still tested pretty well. I would still say Mason Graham is interior number 1 in this class. Vegas here at pick 6. We're going with Shedeur Sanders. Didn't end up testing, obviously. He came to the combine for interviews. I haven't really looked into too much of how those went. I know Cam Ward had some good interviews, I've heard, but I haven't heard anything about Shedeur Sanders specifically yet. I'm just interested to see how it goes with the Giants, because I think that will determine if they take him at pick 3 or not. I think that's what they're really waiting on, because you're not going to get testing numbers from him. You're going to see what he does at his pro day, and you're going to go off of that and the tape, plus the interview. So, it's going to be interesting to see for sure. Pick number 7 for the Jets here. There's a couple places that I've thought about going. Tyler Warren could go as high as 7 in my opinion. It would be kind of interesting to put Tetairoa McMillan on this team, because I think even though he didn't test out, teams are still going to value him. But we're going to go tackle for this team. It's going to be Armand Membou. I talked about it before. He's going to go play right tackle for you with the idea of Olu Fashanu playing left tackle for the future. Membou's just really solid, man. Athletically, he's insane. One of the best, he had one of the best RAS scores that we've seen in a very, very long time. Tested incredibly. And I think he just has a lot of upside. He came in with ideal size. You know you're going to stick him at tackle for the future. And obviously, we projected him as a guard at the start of the season, so I still think he could play there. But, the tape was really good this year. Came in with great measurements. Tested very well athletically. This is a tackle now. And I think we're pretty sure of that. Pick 8 for Carolina. I wish I could trade down, honestly. I'm not really sure where to go with this. A lot of people have been really down on Tetairoa McMillan recently. I'm not really sure what he did to deserve that, to be honest. I know he didn't test at the combine. I think he came in with pretty good measurables. I'm not really sure why people are now dropping him to the late teens. It might literally just be to raise other people up draft boards, but I feel like if he is here at pick 8, I'm 100% not against taking him to Carolina, because it seems like T. Higgins is probably off the board for them. I feel like you'd want to get Bryce Young a true number 1 wideout. I don't think that's going to be Xavier Leggett. I think he's a pretty solid number 2 or 3. Again, we haven't really seen him in a positive environment that really encourages him to put up good numbers, but I feel like we'll see that with better talent in the room. So I'm not against Tetairoa McMillan. Obviously, this team needs edge. Obviously, this team needs interior. This team could honestly use cornerback as well. But I think edge is probably where this team goes. I feel like Bryce Young made it work really well last year. And I want to show some love to a big riser in this class, and that is going to be Shamar Stewart at Texas A&M. I don't know what scheme this team is going to run this year. I feel like they probably fit a 3-4 defense better than anything. And if they do play a 3-4, Shamar Stewart is perfect for that, because he can kind of be your edge rusher on the defensive line, but also play interior snaps. He came into the combine a little bit lighter, I believe, and ran incredibly. Shamar Stewart tested out. He's just a freakish athlete. We knew it. A lot of people will like to point to the production, the lack of production, I should say. and just talk about how he just didn't really put up great numbers in terms of sacks. But I think if you guys have really watched me for a while, you understand that sacks are not a great metric of a good edge rusher, and he is a product of you need to watch him to see him. He isn't even like a unpolished pass rusher. Like, he gets to the quarterback. It's just about like bringing the quarterback down and actually finishing these plays. But he's really electric, and you can see it on tape. Like, again, you just need to see it in action to believe it. But I think he definitely deserves the number 8 overall pick after his stellar performance. New Orleans Saints at 9. This could be another tackle spot. I'm kind of leaning away from that, though. Tight end is really interesting here. This team definitely does need it. Edge is also a good thought. There are a lot of guys who I'm thinking could go in this range, like Mikael Williams, Jalen Walker. Mike Green would be interesting. Don't know if he goes as high. He has some very, very serious allegations that ended up... We've recently found out what they are. I don't really want to say them on here. It's the same thing with him and Maxwell Hairston, who I'm probably going to leave Maxwell Hairston. I mean, I haven't really heard any, like, investigations or anything like that. Like, it came up literally the day that he ran a 4.28 at the combine. Like, that's why it's a little bit suspicious. I'm not going to go saying that I know what happened, because I don't, right? But I will say it does not look great when things like this pop up right after their name is in the headlines. So it just doesn't really add credibility to the situation. However, I'm not going to go discredit this person. They have their story. Other people are saying that the things that happened to them as well. You can go do your own research on it. Nothing is really out about it besides what that person posted. So, I mean, we need to keep a lookout on that, but it's not looking great for the character of a lot of people in this class. I'm going to say that much. So, yeah. Either way, here at pick 9, I'm considering Tetairoa McMillan for this team because I love his fit next to Chris Olave, who can't really stay healthy either. Considering edge rusher, Jalen Walker is interesting. Don't really know if he's the kind of edge rusher that Staley would want, because I believe he's their DC now. I feel like he would probably gravitate more towards like a freakish athlete like a Mikael Williams. Like I said, Tyler Warren would be really interesting. Colson Loveland, who I've heard is some team's tight end 1. That would be pretty interesting. And then corner as well. Just don't really think there's a corner that I'm going to take here. Like, I still am really high on Will Johnson, but we're going to talk about him when I actually figure out where he's going to be going. Tackle's another option for this team, like I said, but I think we're going to settle for edge, and we're going to go with Mikael Williams. I think he's going to go really high, tested out really well, has super long arms. We already know that he's a freakish athlete, even though he didn't test because he's nursing an injury. But we already know what kind of athlete Mikael Williams is. We've seen it. Again, similar to Shamar Stewart, where you just need to kind of watch him to see the kind of player that he is. I wasn't really high on him for the longest amount of time, but I am kind of understanding that the NFL will take these better athletes. I just didn't love the tape for Mikael Williams as much as I did Shamar Stewart. I think a lot of it is just because he was nursing an injury back for a lot of the season, so I won't really hate on him too much for that. Chicago here at pick 10. They recently traded for Jonah Jackson and Joe Thuney as of today. And I think this is just all but telling me that Ashton Jeanty is going to be the pick at number 10. Unless, for some reason, Amari and Hampton is one of the teams, or the Bears are one of the teams I have Amari and Hampton as running back 1 in this class. All this tells me is that Ben Johnson wants his running back. He wants his Jahmyr Gibbs, because that's honestly what the comp for Ashton Jeanty would really be. Like, people don't think about it because of how great his contact balance is, but he's not really a power back. Like, before last year, he was really seen as, like, an Alvin Kamara kind of back, where it's like, he's more of a receiving threat. I shouldn't say more of a receiving threat, but a receiving threat. But really elusive. But last year, he was just like a bowling ball and didn't really go down to arm tackles ever. Really didn't go down to any tackles ever. But Ashton Jeanty really is like he's closer to Jahmyr Gibbs than he is David Montgomery. It's kind of weird to say that, but Ashton Jeanty, great pick for the Bears here. They're strengthening that O-line to protect Caleb, but also because I think they want to draft somebody like an Ashton Jeanty. San Francisco here, pick 11. I'm tempted to make the fun pick in Luther Burden. They traded Deebo Samuel. Why wouldn't you just go out and grab Debo Samuel again. But we're going to go elsewhere. I think this team really, really needs corner. And I'm tempted to take Jahdae Barron for them. I think I'm going to do it. Jahdae Barron had so much better of a combine than I thought he would. I was pleasantly surprised when watching. Jahdae Barron ended up running like a 4.39 40. We did not think that he was going to be that athletic. He actually ran faster than his teammate, didn't he? Didn't he run faster than Isaiah Bond? I could look. I know Isaiah Bond ran a 4.39. I think Jahdae Barron is a little bit faster than that, though. Or maybe they're the same time or similar time. Either way, Jahdae Barron tested insanely fast. He was incredible at the combine. We just didn't really expect it from him. And to go along with already great tape, Thorpe Award winner. I mean, Jahdae Barron might be CB2 in this class behind Travis Hunter. Like, again, we will talk about Will Johnson when we get to him. And I'm still higher on him. But I understand that the general consensus isn't. And I'm going to take that into account for this mock draft. Dallas here at pick 12. This is really tough for me because you guys know in every single mock draft I have the chance to, I'm trading down here with Dallas. If Ashton Jeanty is not on the board, I'm trading down with Dallas. But given the fact that there's an elite interior on the board, it's really hard. The thing is, they did just re-sign Osa Odighizuwa. They originally had tagged him, which would have made me go with Walter Nolen at this pick, but then they actually re-signed him. I would have taken him here at 11 for San Francisco, but I know he's going to go high, but it is what it is. So I don't think interior is really a need for Dallas. There is a part of me that just wants to make the fun pick and go Omarion Hampton, because I know that they probably value him. There's just not a lot of players that I would really take to Dallas here. Like maybe Kelvin Banks would be interesting for them. I just don't think I'm going to do it. Like, edge, I've thought about Jalen Walker. Like, Jalen Walker would be really interesting to Dallas, and honestly, I might do it. Because Jalen Walker and Micah Parsons, that's a scary, flexible edge duo. Both guys who can drop into coverage. I think we're going to do this. We're gonna have some fun today, and we're going to mock Jalen Walker to the Dallas Cowboys. Pick 13 here for Miami. I know it seems all but obvious that they take O-line here. We're doing a 2-round mock draft. I like the tackles and guards down the board in this class, so I'm not really stressing too much about going O-line round 1. And I want to show some love to a demon interior player in Walter Nolen. Again, would have had him go number 11 to San Francisco because I think that's the ceiling of where he's going to go. I think his athletic ability is just, like, insane. Didn't test at the combine. It was really disappointing this year, to be honest. There just were a lot of guys who decided to skip out for different reasons. Some of them were injury-related. Some people, again, you're protecting your draft stock. If you know you're going to go high already, you don't need to risk it with a bad performance. So I understand it. It's just disappointing as a fan. But Walter Nolen is incredible. The tape last year showed flashes of true dominance. I do think that there is a slight consistency issue. I feel like he ends up on the ground a lot. But when he polishes his pass rushing moves, I feel like he's going to be a dominant player. Former 5-star recruit. He just has the ability to be a great player in the league. Number 14 for Indianapolis. I'm running to the podium with Tyler Warren. However, I want to shout out Nicky Monwori. I've said for the longest amount of time, I've said this since my first mock draft, I feel like, that I've always been high on Nicky Monwori. He's going in the first round. I'm going to tell you guys that right now, and he's going before Malachi Starks. I'm gonna put it simply. He is safety 1 in this class now, and I don't think it's close. Nicky Monwori had an incredible season this year. He's played all throughout the secondary. His RAS score was so good. I retweeted this. His RAS score was so good that he would have tested a 10 out of 10 at strong safety, free safety, cornerback, and then would have had a 9.9 at linebacker? Are you serious? He's like a chess piece. This is this season's Kyle Hamilton in that sense, but a better athlete. I don't think he has the same instincts as Kyle Hamilton, so I don't know if he'll be the same player. But Nicky Monwori is a beast, and I am going to be supporting him all the way through this year. You guys knew that my favorite pairing was getting the Colts Nicky Monwori and Tyler Warren. Sadly, that's not going to happen anymore unless the Colts want to make a crazy trade up for him, but it's just not going to happen. But really, really big to see for Nicky Manwari stock. And then Malachi Starks, he tested fine in the 40, like a 4.5. Didn't really have great agility testing, but had some really high, like, top speeds in a lot of the drills, which is good to see. So you know his top speed is still really good, but agility-wise, it's somewhat of a concern. Atlanta here at 15. There's just a lot of talented edge rushers on the board. We talked about the possible character concerns with Mike Green. I'm still going to take him because I haven't really heard much from the NFL in terms of that. He did address it, I believe, during the interviews at the Combine. Denied everything. So again, we'll see if like formal investigations come out. I mean, again, it's been years since these things have happened. So it's been since high school, and it's more scary that it happened twice. I think one time and you deny it, it's like, okay, believable. But 2 times in 2 different locations, that's scary to me. So I do think that there's a big chance that Mike Green does fall. I love him as a prospect, but man, like, if what is being said is true and it doesn't look good right now, I would lose respect for him as a person. I don't think any team will draft him super high. He's going to get drafted because of talent. Same reason like Mike Hall Jr. still got drafted. Although I don't know if that happened before or after the draft. But still, we know NFL teams don't have morals. But they try and hide it by taking them later than they should have gone drafted. But they're like, we were going to come get you anyways. Don't worry about it. So we'll see what happens with Mike Green. But very talented player. Yeah, had a great season at Marshall this year, and wish him the best as long as that stuff ain't true. Arizona here at 16. We're going to go with the tackle here. I know Kelvin Banks is on the board. You guys know how I feel about Kelvin Banks. We're going Josh Simmons. We're pairing 2 Ohio State tackles together. Josh Simmons apparently is way ahead of schedule with his ACL recovery, which is more than a great sign. I already told people before, I'm not really concerned with ACL injuries in modern day sports. Like, it used to be a very scary thing like years ago when we were talking about like, oh, torn ACL, that could be career ending. Modern technology is at a point where it's just like a torn ACL, you can come back from that and still be in solid form, even if you're not the exact same player. Some people come back and are still the exact same player. I mean, different sport, but Kevin Durant tore his ACL, I believe. I don't want to say that wrong. I feel like he tore his ACL at the Warriors, came back, and he's still an all-NBA level player. But Josh Simmons, I'm sure, especially the fact that he's way ahead of schedule, developing really nicely, I feel like he's going to be perfectly fine. Would have ended up being tackle 1 or 2 in this class if he could have tested out, man. Cincinnati here at 17. It's interesting having Kelvin Banks on the board. I'll say that much, but I do feel like Orlando Brown, Amarius Mims, you're good at tackle, but moving him to guard isn't a bad idea. Sam Hubbard did recently retired today, so edge is a possibility, although I don't know if James Pierce is going to go this high. And I don't really love any other edge rushers super high here. Like Donovan Izirawaku, I would take at the end of the first round, but maybe not at 17. So you know what? We're showing some love to Nicky Manwari. We already talked about it. Incredible combine. He's going to come save this defense, hopefully. Like, they were horrible last year, and that's an understatement. And it was really in the secondary a lot of the time as well. So I think Nicky Manwari being able to move around, play different positions in the secondary, throw him at corner, you could throw him in the box, throw him as a deep safety, like, just have fun with him. That's going to be really fun for a smart defensive coordinator to use. Pick 18 here for Seattle. DK Metcalf trade rumors are making me want to go Tetairoa McMillan here. You cut Tyler Lockett. You don't really... It seems like DK Metcalf, he has now requested a trade. It seems like he's on the move. You're going to need a new X receiver, so let's go get possibly the best X receiver in this class in Tetairoa McMillan. Tampa Bay at 19, would have definitely considered Tetairoa McMillan at this spot. I don't love going it with it now because Mike Evans is still good. Chris Godwin's most likely gone. But I do like going edge for this team a little bit more. Linebacker's really interesting. I like Jahad Campbell to this team a lot, and I always have. Corner to this team is really interesting. And I do think corner is interesting. It makes me want to take Will Johnson here for sure. I think with Todd Bowles possibly being like, I don't know, I've heard people say he might be on the hot seat. I feel like he would go with a defensive player here. We're going to go with Will Johnson. The talent here is immense. I feel like Bowles, being a defensive head coach, probably have a better idea of what to do with him. Like, I'm still higher on him than most people. I still think he is a top 10 player in this class, but I understand why people have concerns. Like, injuries on top of coming in with really short arms. The wingspan was fine. Came in with really short arms. Already has questions about his deep speed. Like, as a press man corner, those things don't translate well to the NFL. Like, his arms are so short that he has, like, slot corner level arms. Like, that's how short his arms are. They're, like, 30 inches. And it's weird because it doesn't look like that on tape, but those are just the measurements we were given. I don't know. I'm not sure how Will Johnson's going to translate to the NFL. I think he could have a Derek Stingley level, like, rise, I guess, where, like, people were kind of sleeping on him because people were just like, listen, he was great in his freshman year and ended up getting hurt and didn't look as good in the following years. Still goes top 3 because we know the kind of talent he was at his peak. Will Johnson was regarded as the best player in the class for almost the entirety of the season. Like, people weren't even trying to give that to Travis Hunter because they're just like, well, he's not corner 1 and he's not receiver 1, so how is he the best player? Right? Like, people were giving that to Will Johnson. So, I still think the talent is there. Could be a little bit of prospect fatigue and some slightly nerve-wracking things, but again, we have seen the tape at his peak and it is simply incredible. But I'm going to respect what the quote-unquote experts are saying, and I'll drop him a little bit just out of consideration for that. Denver here at pick 20. The website's frozen. That's pretty fun. Okay. Okay, good. We're back. We already went Tyler Warren. That's my dream fit for this team. But I'm going to show some love to the fastest combine in the class, and that's going to be the fastest 40 in the class, and that's going to be Matt Golden. Ran a 4.28, I believe. Very fast. Burner speed. It's funny because before the combine, Isaiah Bond is like, yeah, I'm going to break Xavier Worthy's record, and only ran a 4.39. Still incredibly fast, but also not even close to your own teammate, Matt Golden, who absolutely, like, stole the show this year. Like, Isaiah Bond was the big transfer coming into Texas, and everybody was excited to see him and Quinn Ewers. Honestly, even after the season, everybody was excited to see Isaiah Bond and Arch Manning next year, and then Isaiah Bond miraculously comes out, which is kind of insane. I feel like he could have been a first-round pick if he just waited till next year and had a better quarterback, but Matt Golden was the go-to guy for Texas. If you needed a first down, you gave it to him. If you needed a deep play, you gave it to him. Like, Matt Golden was absolutely the best player on this team, and he is the X receiver that this team is probably looking for. Pittsburgh here, pick 21. Corner would be interesting. I feel like wide receivers a thought still. Mecca Igbuka, Luther Burden, both those guys tested pretty well. I don't know, this is like an ideal trade down spot in my opinion. Like, again, I don't love the players on the board for this team. Sadly, I'm not going to take running back. I just don't love the corners available. Like, nobody, like, Max Hairston would be the guy. We kind of already talked about the potential allegations with him. I'm still going to take him in the range I think he's going to be taken in, just because there hasn't really been any, like, formal investigations from teams yet. But it is, like, I will say this, if you check the Kentucky website, the crime that they are referencing is logged in that website. He wasn't charged, but it was, like, filed, like, the report is still on the Kentucky website. It doesn't, I don't think it has his name attached. I could be wrong, but scary stuff, man. I just hate to see it. Hate to see it. Absolutely hate to see it. This is interesting. I think I want to go corner. I just don't think that's realistic, honestly. D-line is interesting for this team. Like, the best fit would probably be like a Derek Harmon, but I don't think I'm going to go there. It's probably going to be a receiver. And I feel like the most realistic option to play on the outside would be Emeka Egbuka. So we'll go with him to the Steelers. Chargers here at 22. Man, Kelvin Banks is really falling. I don't know if he's going to fall this far. I kind of took this out of hand. Or kind of got out of hand, but he's a good player. I just think he's not as polished as a top 15 pick should be, and that's kind of what scares me, to be honest. Definitely think he should go in this back half range, and I'd feel a lot more comfortable with that. LA here at 22, though. I feel like edge rusher is definitely a possibility. You're losing Khalil Mack most likely. Joey Bosa might be a cut candidate. Could definitely lose a lot in terms of that edge room in the offseason. And I think for that reason, I kind of want to go Jahad Campbell. Kind of a curveball. I think James Pierce falls a little bit further than this. It's not even that he tested badly. Like, he ran a crazy, great 40-yard dash, like a 4.41. But some of his other testing wasn't great. Came in a little undersized. He had shorter arms. Obviously, he's pretty light at edge rusher at like 240. Some people might view him as a DPR guy. So, that's going to drop his draft stock a little bit. Sucks, because I still think he's a top player in the class talent-wise. But, again, the measurements are very important to a lot of teams. But you know what? I think this team desperately needs a receiver. They could also be Loki and DK Metcalf trade rumors as well, which is funny because both of the teams I think could get him are back-to-back. His old receivers coach from the 3 seasons that he went over 1,000 yards is on the Chargers currently. So that's an interesting factor to go into. Obviously, you have a franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert. Would be interesting, but Packers are seemingly in the lead right now for most people. But I think even if you get DK Metcalf, like, this entire receiver room could get revamped and just build around Ladd McConkey, DK Metcalf, and who I'm going to go with here, and Luther Burden. I think Luther Burden's really, really solid. I think the problem with him, it's not even really a problem with him. He tested great. I think he only ran the 40. Got a 4.41 as well. Really good speed there. Problem with him is he just had a terrible quarterback last year and wasn't really a focal point of the offense. Because I had him as receiver 1 going into the year. But yeah, like, I loved Luther Burden going into the year. Even though he was a slot-only guy, I was just like, I still think the talent is there. He's dangerous with the ball in his hands, and all that still stands, man. But just unfortunately, he didn't have, like, a crazy good season. Green Bay here at 23. I feel like edge is a possibility. I think corner's a real possibility for this team. It's just a matter of who. But I feel like with Kelvin Banks on the board, we're going to just go with him. I think this team could still use some offensive line help. I don't know if Rasheed Walker is truly the left tackle of the future. He could always go play guard. I think Kelvin Banks short term could still go play guard as well. So I think just getting more talent on the offensive line would not hurt Green Bay at all. Minnesota here at 24. Omarion Hampton being on the board is fun. I think losing Aaron Jones in the offseason is more than a guarantee. Omarion Hampton could definitely be the pick here. I think it's between him and Tyler Booker, in my opinion. Both of these players are incredible. Tyler Booker didn't have the greatest combine. I still think he's a very, very solid player. So I would still show love to him because I think he's very, very good. Gray Zabel as well, another great player. But I think we're going to make the fun pick. We're going to go Omarion Hampton because I feel like he will be a first-round pick. There are just a lot of teams that see him as running back 1 in this class, apparently. So I think one of them will get him in the first round. Houston here at 25. Sadly, no Emeka Egbuka or Luther Burden to lay on here. But we're going to go with probably one of the best interiors in this class. We're going to go with Gray Zabel, actually. He's continued to rise up draft boards. I know I just said Tyler Booker was probably still interior 1 for me. Really, to me, interior 1 is either Gray Zabel or Donovan Jackson. But I still show respect to Tyler Booker because I think he's first round worthy as well. They're all very close together. But Gray Zabel's just had a great offseason. Had a great season for North Dakota State. We've already seen them pump out a solid guard in Cody Mock recently. So I think Gray Zabel, great athletic testing. A little bit older of a prospect, I think 23 years old. I think he's polished, ready to start right away, and just has great athletic traits as well. So I think Houston desperately needs interior offensive line, would 100% go for this. LA Rams here at 26. There's a lot of good players left on the board, man. They signed, what's his name? Alaric Jackson to a extension, so I don't know if tackle is going to be in the books here. We're going to go with Colston Loveland. They're going to be losing most likely Tyler Higbee in the offseason, whether he's a free agent or if he's just going to get cut. I actually don't remember. Colston Loveland is a upgrade anyways, and I feel like McVay would love to have a receiving threat tight end in that offense. Baltimore here at 27. I mean, they manage to get good players every year. James Pierce Jr. is going to fall to them at 27. I think they could definitely use some more edge help. Kyle Van Noy was he their edge rusher last year with Odafe Owe? Like, I honestly forget who the Ravens edge rushers are. They just put up numbers every year, and you're always just like, huh? Okay, I guess. But James Pierce Jr. could add some real juice to that edge room. Him and Odafe Owe could be a solid duo for the future. I think if James Pierce Jr. reaches his potential, he's more than worth the 27th pick. And if he doesn't, he's a designated pass rusher guy. And I just hope that's not going to be the case. Pick 28 for Detroit. Definitely would have gone James Pierce if he was available. But we're going to show some love to the guy that I talked about earlier, being Donovan Ezeuruaku. It's really good agility testing at the combine. That's really what this is. Like, he was a freak at the combine. Came in, like, a lot of people thought he was a little undersized before, but I think he made up for it with the athletic testing. So, good for him. Washington here at 29. I think getting more protection for Jayden Daniels is possibly the most important thing you can do, and you're going to go with my possible tackle one in this class, and Josh Conerly. I might just have a huge draft crush on him. Like, I love Josh Conerly, man. He had a really solid offseason. I also don't remember if he tested at the combine. Sadly, I didn't watch it. I watched a lot of recap videos on it, but I had work and school to do, so I just never really had the chance to sit down and watch it. I know it was on the weekend, too. I also just wasn't home. That also happened, but it is what it is. Josh Conerly had a great season at Oregon, can play right or left tackle. He's had a great offseason so far, minus one bad rep against Mike Green, which went viral, but he's just been incredible. Buffalo here at pick 30. I'm going to stop the fall of Malachi Starks. This team's going to be losing safeties in the offseason. I don't know if DeMar Hamlin's a free agent, but also Cole Bishop wasn't amazing as a rookie. Malachi Starks is really talented, man. It just sucks, to be honest, that he just had a down year at Georgia and not amazing testing at the combine, but I still think he's a first-round worthy player. Kansas City here at 31. I think trading away Joe Thuney. You already know with Tyler Booker, best guard available right now. And I just don't really trust Kansas City to develop tackles. I know I heard that Kingsley Suamataia is going to get a shot to start at tackle or to start at guard. I would rather just have Tyler Booker. Like, I know Kingsley Suamataia was a higher draft pick, second-round pick. You invested solid amount in him, but if you have to chalk it, I would just go with the better player because he's huge. Like, he's 6'8", I think. I don't know if that's gonna work at guard. That's my personal opinion. I know the Chiefs are bad at developing tackles, which sucks for him. I hope Kingsley Suamataia can go somewhere else and develop. Send him to the Eagles, man. I don't really care at this point. They've won already, and I'm already in pain. Speaking of the Eagles here, pick 32, possibly losing Milton Williams in the offseason. We're going to go with Derek Harmon. Another really good athlete, really showed up for Oregon this year. He's just a really good pass rusher, just super, super like freaky from the interior. Like, I feel like he's kind of fallen under the radar a little bit more recently, just because like people are talking about Walter Nolan, Darius Alexander's having a huge rise. A lot of people talk about like Talik Williams is the best run stopper in this class. People like Joshua Farmer are getting a lot more attention. Yeah, like I know a lot of people like Zeke Biggers had some cool interview moments. I also think he said that he needed surgery before their bowl game, like 2 weeks before their bowl game, and was not supposed to play through it, and he got surgery and then played their bowl game, so that shows a lot of toughness right there. Like, really cool to see. But either way, we're on to the second round now. Cleveland here at 33. You win Abdul Carter in the first round. I think corner is definitely a thought in the second round. Could go receiver as well. Don't think we're going to go quarterback. But I think what I'm going to do is probably either grab a tackle Or I think the best guard left available with tackle flexibility, and that's going to be Donovan Jackson. Honestly, the MVP for Ohio State's like second half of the year, in my opinion. Like, he was honestly incredible for them. Yeah, he carried that team. He was the reason they didn't really lose, because he was so solid at left tackle when Josh Simmons went down that they continued their dominance, honestly. New York here at 34, took Travis Hunter in the first round, so sadly, I'm not going to be able to grab one of the best players available here in Ben Morrison in the second. However, I'm going to do something that could be a little bit of a curveball, and this really depends on if he's available or not, but allegedly, I saw a report today that Bobby Okereke, his standing within the Giants team is not great right now. Not by anything he did, but more of just like he's getting older, has a big cap hit. Giants really aren't on track to win anything anytime soon, so he could be a possible trade or cut candidate. And with that being said, linebacker 1 is still unavailable, being Jahad Campbell. I feel like this is a really, really interesting pick that I would love as a Giants fan if he were available, because short term, right? Hear me out. Short term, he replaces Bobby Okereke if we cut him. Or we don't cut Bobby Okereke at all and just rotate Jahad Campbell in. Long term, if Kayvon Thibodeau does not work out or continues to not work out, that's our edge rusher. And I feel really, really good about him working out at one of those two positions. So I think this offers us a lot of flexibility. This would be a really interesting draft for the Giants to get two really flexible players in Travis Hunter and Jahad Campbell, where it's like you're bound to not really miss, right? Like, if you have Travis Hunter not work out at corner, he could play receiver. I honestly think Travis Hunter could even play safety with his zone instincts, right? Jahad Campbell, if he doesn't work out at linebacker, try him at edge, or vice versa. Like, I feel like there's just a lot of things that could make this be two really good picks no matter what. So I really like that for the Giants. But let me know what you guys think about that. Tennessee here at 35. You got Cam Ward at 1. Still need to address the edge issue. I'm going to go to Nick Scorton. He tested fine, dropped the weight. It seemed like it was pretty bad weight because he was not this heavy at Purdue. He had a great season at Purdue. Was going to be a top pick, then gained a bunch of weight, went to Texas A&M, wasn't super productive. I feel like that's a pattern with Texas A&M. It's like they're a big school, but every single time an edge rusher or a pass rusher of some kind goes there, they're always so unproductive, and I don't understand why. Jacksonville here at 36. Could use tackle. Ariante Urshely's a thought. You got Mason Graham in the first round. Don't think edge is out of the question, because Trayvon Walker's kind of like a flex. I think corner is something that I would definitely consider for this team. I think I kind of want to go either Max Harrison or Savone Revel. I think we'll go Max Harrison just simply because of the athletic testing. Ran incredibly well. I've already talked about the negatives with him enough. But to talk about the positives, he's had a great offseason. Looks incredible, to be honest. Like, I didn't even think he was going to be this fast, to be honest. So that makes me think he can stay on the boundary. Yeah, he's just a really talented corner. We saw Drew Phillips last year. I feel like they're really similar players. But Max Harrison might even be better because he might be able to stick on the boundary, truly. Vegas here at 37. I feel like they're really solid with their O-line. Like, they have a really solid young offensive line that you kind of want to develop. You just signed Max Crosby to an extension, so it doesn't look like he's going to be traded anytime soon, which is good. You could look at D-line for sure. I feel like getting him some weapons would be pretty great. And I think I'm going to show some love to Jaden Higgins, who I've loved this entire draft process. Tested really well, had some really high top speed in a lot of the drills, which is a really good sign. So that means he could be a deep threat as well as a possession guy. Huge, he's like 6'3", 6'4", I believe. Just really, really good testing all around. Patriots here at 38. I'm not mad if they want to double dip on offensive line. There's still some good players available. I feel like Ursary is you could still bring him in and move Onwenu back to guard. That would be interesting. There's also solid guards on the board like Mbo, Savanea, Ratledge. Those guys are solid. However, I think edge is still a need for this team. Edge and D-line are still very big needs, and Kenneth Grant's still here. Wow. This team probably needs a nose. I kind of forgot I didn't take Kenneth Grant anywhere, but I mean, it wouldn't have really changed anything. Like, there was just nowhere else that I was going to take him. I don't really know if he's a fit for this team, though. Him and Talik Williams are here. Wow, that's interesting. Receivers, like Alec Aomaner is interesting. Just simply because this team does need a true number one wide receiver. Wonder if they're going to be in the DK Metcalf sweepstakes. This is interesting here. Like, Jack Sawyer does feel like a Patriot. I just like his measurements were so bad. He's so undersized, man. It sucks for him. But he's a really good leader. I feel like he's just a Patriot. You know, we'll show some love to somebody who tested well in Prince Umayyalin. He might not go this high, but he did test really, really well. So, happy for him. Bears here at 39. Like I said, they addressed the interior already. Could still go tackle with somebody like a Ursery on the board. Don't think they have to now. I think you could just focus on beefing up this defense. I'm going to show some love to JT Tuimoloau. I don't think he tested out, or if he didn't do anything notable. But he's still a really solid player. He had a really good season, and I feel like his draft process has been really quiet. I'll say that much for sure. Like, he definitely had some first-round hype from some people, but I just haven't really heard much of him in the offseason. I don't know if he's hurt. I just haven't really been paying attention to him that much, but still a very talented player, and I think he could still go pretty high. New Orleans here at pick 40. I'm going to stop the fall of Ariante Ursery for sure here. The future of Ryan Ramczyk is questionable. If he ends up retiring, you move Fuaga back to right tackle and Ursery can play left, or you can try Ursery at left tackle or right tackle if you want to, but you already have someone who's played right tackle before there. So having two bookend tackles for the future is really, really good for them. Bears, so they have Ashton Jeanty and JT. I'm not against them going like corner here, to be honest. Like, Tyreek Stevenson didn't have a great second year, to be honest, but they're definitely. I feel like we definitely should go interior for this team. We're going to go Kenneth Grant. The value is just so incredible. Honestly, I could have gone with him at 40 to New Orleans. He would have been a good fit next to Brian Brzee, but Kenneth Grant and JT Tuimoloau would be just insane to build through the trenches here. That'd be really, really great for this team. Jets here. You got Armand Membo in the first round. I'm going to continue to pair Savone Revel with Sauce Gardner. Just the size, the athleticism. I feel like they match up really, really well with each other. 49ers got Jahdae Barron in the first round. They could definitely use interior here in the second round. There's still some great ones available. I think Darius Alexander's had a huge rise. Talik Williams, we know, is a great run stopper. You might want somebody with some more pass rush upside, though. So I think I'm going to go Darius Alexander here for that reason. Dallas here at 44. They went Jalen Walker in the first round. Running back is on the board. Rico Dowdle actually had a really good season for them last year. He really turned it on towards the end, which is why I kind of forgot that he was good. But he's like 27 years old at this point. I'm going to go with Quinshon Judkins. Tested really, really, really well for where I thought he was going to be. Like, questionable season for Ohio State last year. Like, in terms of like, okay, coming into the year, he was in the competition, or in the conversation, I guess, for running back 1. Obviously, Ashton Jeanty ran away with that, and Amarian Hampton with running back 2 ran away with that. But he's definitely in that RB3 conversation now with, like, him, Trevion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, guys like that. Some people might like Cam Scadabo a lot. I like Cam Scadabo, but athletically, we know he's not incredible. Oh, he didn't test horribly, I don't think. Indianapolis here at pick 45. Got Tyler Warren in the first round. There's still some great corners on the board. And I feel like with the talent, I feel like you kind of have to address that now. I'm going to go with Azareye'h Thomas. He's had a solid offseason. I don't think he tested incredibly well at the combine. Like, he was fine. He had a really solid Senior Bowl, though. Yeah, I'm going to show love for that reason. Atlanta here at 46. You went Mike Green in the first round. You got your edge. I do think corner is still a need for this team. I like Trey Amos because he did test pretty well. I also like Darian Porter to this team. And I think seeing that Darian Porter ran a 4.3 at 6'3", I'm going to take him at 46 here. Cardinals at 47. We're going to have a run on corners here, it probably looks like. Like Josh Simmons in the first round, although there could be a reason to take an edge here. Landon Jackson, Braden Swinson. Braden Swinson's actually pretty interesting. He tested pretty solid. He's had a really good offseason. People are starting to put him in day 2 conversations. Let's show some love to Braden Swinson here at 47. Miami here at 48. You got Walter Nolan in the first round. We already know we need to go interior or tackle here in the second. Marcus Bowe is an option. But I think I'm going to take Jonas Savaiania here for his versatility. Could play literally anywhere on the offensive line. I've said it so many times. He could play tackle, both tackle spots. He's played both guard spots. He's even played center. So I think that versatility of like when Miami gets their offensive line like figured out, if they need that guy who can just kind of move around, like if you're missing one spot on the offensive line or you need someone to transition because they're not working out, Jonah I'm sure can probably fill and relearn that spot pretty quickly. 49 here for the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to continue to focus on defense. We need to get them an edge here, and I'm probably going to give them Landon Jackson. Tested pretty well, honestly, for size. I think he did really well with like the vert. I think he had a 40-inch vert. Or was it a 39-inch vert? He was the best vert out of the edge rushers. So athletic testing was really solid for him. Very explosive. So yeah, I think he's going to be pretty solid. Seattle here. They got Teteroa McMillan in the first round. I'm going to take Ben Morrison here. This is where I'm going to put him. I'm so sorry, Steelers fans. I would have given him to the Steelers 110%. Man, he didn't test out. We just don't know. It really comes down to the injuries. Apparently, he's had the same hip injury that he has now, and he had that in high school. That's concerning. It doesn't look good. So, I feel like a team like Seattle, where it's like Rick Wallen didn't have a great season last year. Obviously, you have Witherspoon, but he's a slot. I feel like you could take the chance with Morrison and like work him in early, but he doesn't have to have a crazy big role on the team immediately because you already have guys there. So I think this would be a good situation for him to be like, make sure he's fully healthy before you really throw him to the Wolves. Denver here at 51. I kind of want to give them a tight end like Elijah Arroyo, Harold Fannin. Those are interesting picks to me. Harold Fannin didn't test amazing, to be honest, although on tape it did look like he wasn't the fastest. He was just really productive. That's really what it was. But for Denver here, we're going to give them Caleb Johnson, similar to the kind of power runner that they had in Javonte Williams. Didn't really work out with him because of injuries, in my opinion, but Caleb Johnson was incredible. Pittsburgh here at 52. Man, I would have loved to give them Ben Morrison. I am so sad that I sniped him for myself at 50, but it is what it is. It's what happens in the draft when you're not doing trades. But I feel like Talik Williams being on the board makes it interesting. Obviously, Trevion Henderson, like they're going to be losing their running backs this offseason. That could be interesting. And honestly, we're going to draft Trevion Henderson just for the fun aspect of bringing back the Ohio State boys together. Him and Emeka Egbuka go to the same team. Tampa Bay here at 53. You got Will Johnson in the first round, which is pretty sick. Round 2 here, looking at edge rushers primarily. Not looking great. Linebackers, though. Demetrius Knight tested really well. Carson Schwessinger gets a lot of hype. I don't really know if he tested. I don't think he did. Also have safeties here, like Xavier Watts could be interesting, but I feel like we addressed the DB already, so you probably wait on that. But you know what? We'll show some love to Carson Schwessinger. Green Bay here at 54. Trey Amos would be really interesting to this team. I think they're probably going to trade for a wide receiver, so I can lay off of that for now. I think we're going to go Trey Amos. Show some love to a guy who honestly tested out well as well. I think he ran a 4.4 140. I could just be making up numbers, but he tested well enough where I'm like, okay, pressman corner, good speed, feel good about him. Solid player. Chargers here at 55 on Luther Burden in the first round. I'd like to get them an edge here. Just don't really think there's any guys that I would like to take. Ooh, actually, no. Olu Oladejo. We're going to show some love to him. Best run defender in this edge class, 110%, and he's getting a lot of hype to go day 2. I think the Chargers are actually a really good fit for him as well. It's pretty funny that's where I realize where he's at. Buffalo here at 56. You got Malachi Starks in the first round. You're going to be losing Amari Cooper, most likely, so let's get Ilike Omener to continue building weapons around Josh Allen. 57 here for Carolina Panthers. Got Shamar Stewart in the first round, which I think addresses both D-line and edge. Saying he's going to play a mix of both. So I think getting more weapons for Bryce Young would be ideal, in my opinion. And somebody that tested out really well is Jalen Noel out of Iowa State. I don't think I've put him in any of these mock drafts yet, but he tested out really well, so I want to show him some love. Houston here at 58, you went Gray Zabel in the first round. The fact that Talik Williams magically fell to you here is just, wow, what a robbery. Their interior is so soft. Getting somebody like Talik Williams, who's literally the best run defender in the class, like, what a steal, man. Good job for the Texans. Ravens here at 59. I'm thinking Cam Williams. I'm thinking Wyatt Milam, just to get some tackles in the building. Like, Cam Williams doesn't have to start right away, but we know he has good traits. But Tate Ratledge is on the board. That's kind of the number one option that I'm thinking of right now. I don't really like any corners. Jacob Parrish did test out really well. But wouldn't take him this high. Linebacker, not taking this high for the Ravens specifically. Don't really love any receivers this high for them. So yeah, I do think Tate Ratledge being the best guard on the board, tested out really, really, really well. I just think that's a good pick. Detroit here at pick 60. Frank Ragnow had some injuries, so we're going to grab the best center in the class here in Jared Wilson. Also tested out really well, had like a 9.97 RAS score. We knew he was a freakish athlete, and he really displayed that at the combine, so good for him. 61 here for Washington. They desperately need edge. Still don't know if I'm willing to take a swing here on Jack Sawyer. They obviously traded for Deebo Samuel, so you don't really need that anymore. I know John Allen's on the trade block, but you have Daron Payne and Johnny Newton. Maybe linebacker with Bobby Wagner coming up. Corner's still a thought, but I mean, we took all of the corners off the board at this point. We obviously already took Connerly. I don't know, I'm just not high on Jack Sawyer anymore. And I feel like a team that kind of desperately needs edge probably shouldn't go with one that's questionable. And there's just nobody else that I'm really thinking about taking this high here. There's no like D lineman that could flex to the outside, I don't think. I mean, running back. If there's any good running backs, I will definitely take one. Because I feel like this team could definitely use running back. Ooh. You know what? If you retain Brian Robinson, Bashal Tutin. I don't know if he goes as high, but we're going to show some love to somebody who ran a really, really fast 40-yard dash. Tested really, really well, just in general. Like, very, very good athlete. That's a good 1-2 punch to have right there. That's your thunder and lightning. You have Brian Robinson as your short yardage back. Bashal Tutin can go get you chunk yards, which they were missing a lot in the run game when that wasn't Jaden Daniels picking up big gains with his own legs, and you want to keep him safe. That's one of Jaden Daniels' biggest weaknesses, is that he just takes a lot of big hits, and he's done that since college. So you definitely want to prevent him from getting injured and not have him running the ball as much and him not being your entire rushing offense. So I think Washington should definitely invest in running back, whether that's in the draft or through free agency. Buffalo here at 62. We addressed safety and wide receiver. Definitely want to get a D lineman here. There's still some really good ones. Alfred Collins, TJ Sanders. I like those two a lot. Edge is also in play here. Like Jordan Burch I thought about. I don't think I'm going to go with him for this team, though. It says they need tackle. I don't think they do. Spencer Brown, free agent? I thought they extended him. I feel like corner is an interesting thought for them, but there's just no corners left. I drain that position. I think D-line is probably the best position to go for here. We're going to go TJ Sanders because you guys know how I feel about him. Kansas City here at 63. Let's just take Jackson Dart because I hate them. No. We got them Tyler Booker already. I don't trust them to develop Cam Williams, to be honest with you. Tight end with what's his name considering retirement, that's going to be the play, I think. But who is it going to be? Harold Fannin, maybe? Maybe it's a different position. Maybe this is a Jordan Birch team. You know what? This is where I'm going to take Jordan Birch. I think that's a good fit. And Philly here at 64, I'm going to take Elijah Arroyo. Not the most amazing blocker in the world. I feel like that's something that Philly fans have valued, and having a starting tight end is just a good blocker, especially with Saquon there. But he's not a negative blocker, and he's been a really good weapon for Miami. That's going to be the draft, though. Really long, but I'm going to try and have this uploaded soon. I'm recording this Wednesday night. I'm sorry if I end up breaking the upload streak. I know I said I was going to do 5 days of straight uploads. I got off of work late. It's unfortunate. So I just didn't really have the chance to record the night before. It is what it is. I will make it up to you guys with a double upload. Don't worry about it. If this doesn't go out tonight, it's going to go out tomorrow, and I'm going to have 2 videos. So, we're going to skip that. So, I know we're on the tier list videos as well. Wide receivers would be next, but it's going to take me 8 years to record. So, I'm going to do tight ends first, and then wide receivers the next day. So, actually, I might actually have to skip wide receivers twice, because I'm going to be home late tomorrow as well. But, it is what it is. You guys are going to get more consistent uploads. I just got to get my life together. But y'all know I love you. Remember to leave a like and sub if y'all mess with the content. And I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.